I was always an entrepreneur, and I think when I went to college, I lost the entrepreneurial dream for a little bit. I went to more than 200 stores, and all of them except one refused to keep the products. And everybody was like, hey, you have a degree, you've just come back, like what are you doing?
This is Hustlr Stories by Lenskart, and today we have with us Rashi Narang. She is the founder of Heads Up for Tails. She is an alumni of Cardiff University and London School of Economics. She founded this brand in the year 2008, and today they have 80 stores across India, and they're also planning to go abroad. Before we begin, Rashi, tell me, what does the term hustler mean to you?
Somebody who shows up and tries to fix things as best as they can.
Beautiful. For those who don't know what Heads Up for Tails is, if you could take us through your portfolio and what your brand really stands for.
Sure. At Heads Up for Tails, we basically curate as well as create products and services that bring joy to pets and their families. And so we started out with just a few lifestyle products, but now we have more than 5,000 products across treats, toys, grooming products, bedding, clothing, absolutely all categories of anything that you may need for your pets across their life stages, as puppies, adults, seniors, for both dogs and cats. And then we also have spa services. So we have more than 50 spas in the country. And
wow.
Yes, so that's where we're at. And we also have the Huff Foundation, which is something close to my heart, where we're working with a lot of the community dogs and cats and just trying to change mindsets to build a world where there's more peaceful coexistence, because this is their home too. It's a shared planet, and how do we all coexist happily together versus the conflict that currently exists.
Talking about your products, I loved your blankets. I think we could use them as well as pet parents, and I believe your snacks are not just for animals, but even humans can eat them, right?
Yes, they're all human grade, made from the best quality ingredients that we can find, because our pets deserve that. They deserve the best and to live happy, healthy, comfortable lives.
Absolutely, and I was crossing your store the other day and those treats looked amazing. So great job. So Rashi, how did you manage to switch at 24, 25 from Citigroup to becoming a founder of Heads Up for Tails? Where did the concept come up from?
I think I realized very early on in a corporate job that I wasn't quite feeling it. Actually, for my whole life, ever since I was little, I've dreamt of doing something of my own. I had all these little ventures growing up, like a little library when I was in school, or I was always an entrepreneur. And I think when I went to college, I lost the entrepreneurial dream for a little bit, because everybody was applying for jobs and it was all about getting selected from campus. And I think that, I went through that whole motion, and when I was at work, I just felt like, it wasn't really for me. I wanted to do something that made a larger difference. I wanted to do something that, created more impact. And I'm glad that I realized that early on. I didn't know what I was going to do, but a couple of years later, a little doggy named Sarah came into my life, and I just wanted for her to live her best life, and I couldn't seem to find any product in the market which was clean, healthy, toxin-free, and that's really how the idea for Heads Up for Tails came about. And we started out really small as a single-person team, just me, for a long time, until we grew it little by little. When I started out, the pet segment really was nothing, right? And everybody was like, hey, you have a degree, you've just come back, like what are you doing? Like, I know it came from a space of true concern. It came from like genuine, like, let me give her some advice, she's just wasting her life kind of space. So I appreciate that, but I don't know, I just knew that I have to do this, I have to build this out, and I have to make this change which I could see. But it took a really long time for me to be able to make it come into existence where it was so tiny to actually growing it, right? The market wasn't ready. It's been so many years of educating customers, so the customer wasn't there. Like, we've had to build them out, help them understand, how can we really help our pets live their best lives, how their lives have changed from being outdoor animals to companions in small apartments, and that shift has to be understood. So I think listening to your intuition is something that's important, and I've learned that it actually whispers really softly. It's not always very loud, and you have to block out a lot of noise to actually listen to it. But mine always told me to stick to the path, and there are many times I want to give up even now, but I'm still listening. So
Lovely. But what made you realize this is what you should do, and how did you kind of avoid being a mom and pop store and actually grow to the scale that you've grown?
I'd say that I started very small, but the dream was always big. It became bigger through the journey, right? When I started, I just was building for Sarah and friends and family, and then I realized that actually these products can be life-changing. They are all helping our pets live healthier, happier, more comfortable lives, and I just wanted to take it to all of India, and now I want to take it to all of the world.
Do you think it was like some parenting genius from your parents?
I don't know. My dad's an entrepreneur. Never thought of it like that, but I was always fascinated by creating impact. I was always curious on how you can run a business, and all my life animals have been my first love. So bringing those two together, I feel really happy doing what I do.
Lovely. To you, what makes an entrepreneur?
Somebody who's getting out there to solve a problem, but also has enormous ability to take risk, is willing to fail, is willing to constantly learn, and is in a growth mindset where you are open, with no stubborn ideas about how things work, and literally you're learning from everybody and all the time, to constantly grow, be evolving, adapting, being agile to see where the opportunities lie. And most of all, I'd say somebody who has massive amounts of grit, resilience, and persistence.
Wow, that's a lot of work, right? So what keeps you going? Like you said, even now when you guys are so successful with so many stores all over, what kind of keeps you going?
When I see that we've been able to make a difference in the life of an animal or their family, right, or how they understand each other through our products, through the content that we build, through the community that we've built, I think that makes it all worthwhile.
Great. Do you think there is something as an original idea in today's day and age?
I think a lot of us, 7 billion plus of us, are solving for many similar issues, but I think that each of us is an original. The way that you see the world with your beliefs, your perception, the way that you join the dots is completely original, right? Same for me and same for every one of us. So I think if we are able to bring the way that we see the world to our work without worrying about what anyone else is doing, it becomes original enough. I mean, there can't be anyone more original than each of us, which I find so fascinating.
Knowing what you do now, is there anything that you would have done differently?
I think probably built my team sooner on. We waited a long time. We didn't have any money to hire experts. There weren't any experts in the market, right? Nobody who really was in this field. And so for a long time, it was a very small team. It was a lot of hustle. It was really carving out our own path, which took a very long time, and it was tough. So I wish I had the opportunity to hire, stronger people earlier on, and perhaps condense this 15 years into a few less.
But so when you found the team, where did you find them? Since you said they didn't exist, experts in the field.
Yeah.
So then where did you manage to find them eventually?
Early on we got in a lot of generalists who were like, listen, I want to make a difference. I love my dogs and cats. So it was basically a lot of people like that who were open to hustling, getting whatever needed to be done. But as we grew the business, we obviously needed a lot more experts, and I think that then we started hiring for technical expertise, but we had to build our own training programs, helping people understand, everything from animal nutrition to behavior to health to our groomers. There are nowhere I can hire from. So we have an academy for our grooming.
Wow.
We had people from the team who we encouraged to learn about all of these things, nutrition, go for behavior courses, get certified. And so we had to bring a lot of that and build it in-house ourselves.
Wow. And you also have 2 manufacturing units in the country,
Yes.
right? So at which point did you decide that you should manufacture yourself?
Actually, right from the start, because there was no product available. There was no supply chain. There was nothing in the country, right? Whatever there was very, very low quality. And so we decided that we have to do both soft furnishings, which is what we started with. So all of the accessories, clothing, bedding, all of those things. And then a couple of years later, we went into manufacturing of treats and our grooming products. Again, just trying to build healthy, clean, good quality products that can help our pets.
Okay. Tell us, you already told us the origin. Anything else you want to start about the origin of your company or brand? Take us to the story.
Well, so we started out in 2008 and I built out a range of products that I thought was quite nice for Sarah. Sent it to friends and family, got a lot of feedback, incorporated it. And once I had my first collection ready, I was actually very excited to take it to stores. All of those same pet stores that I had visited and not been able to find anything at all. However, when I did take it to them, I went to more than 200 stores and all of them except one refused to keep the products, right? And I think that at that time, those couple of months of like just striking off every pet store in the country as a cross, it was so disheartening and it was so, I don't know, it was really
I'm
tough,
sure.
right? But now when I look back at that rejection, I realize that it's only because of that we managed to open our retail stores, right? So I did want to share that, what is difficult in the present moment may be actually amazing in hindsight. And I've learned that, through the years, all of these challenges have actually come to help us, to grow us. And so we started with a little kiosk at Select City Walk. I don't know if you remember it, because I know you've been
Yes.
that was so many years ago. And then slowly it's been, a journey of literally one brick at a time, one day at a time, where we opened our stores, helped get close to the customers, understand their problems. A lot of what we're building comes from conversations with our customers, just, getting their pain points and then taking it to the drawing board and saying, okay, how do we really solve for this? So I think it really has been a journey of enormous learning, many challenges, many stumbles, many failures, but hoping to really, give out and put our very best foot forward every day.
Talking about failure, it is said, as you just said, you learn more from your failures than from your success. Can you share one such failure and the lesson you learned from it?
I think we fail every day, like whether it's about a product not working, a store location not working, a hiring that we thought was amazing not working. Like there is failure every day, like a difficult conversation going not so well. But I think what we have to do is, reflect on that and learn quickly. So we've learned, what is it that our customers value in terms of experience at the store. What is it that they want in terms of not just product but the pricing, what is important to them or what life stage of their pet. So I think we're constantly learning.
But any kind of failure that made you realize, that gave you big learning?
One thing that we tried very hard and we simply could not do was we tried a subscription box. Right? Logically, it makes sense. You come and buy toys and treats for your pets every single month. And we tried so many versions of the subscription box and somehow we just could never make it work. So just the fact that customers aren't quite willing to either pay upfront or to allow a auto debit, right? And then there are so many rules around that as well from a financial regulation perspective. But that's something that we genuinely tried many versions of, that it makes sense as a pet parent coming from that insight, but somehow we just haven't been able to crack it yet.
I'm sure soon you will. But any kind of lesson from that?
Just that, what you think as a company may not necessarily be a customer insight right? So I think just getting the insight right and then acting on it versus going by, hey, this kind of makes sense, right? But on the flip side, a lot of the products that we built, the customer never said, hey, I want this, right? It came from a space of saying, I have this problem. So sometimes the customer really knows exactly what they want. Sometimes, like, look at Apple, right? For example, we never knew we needed any of what we have today, right? So I think you have to balance both, but staying really connected with the customer and getting the insight right is what really goes a long way.
Wow. All right, you've said it, but I'm sure you can add more things to it. How did you go about building a team? Are there any interesting anecdotes from that process?
What I've learned, I want to say actually, initially I was willing to hire anyone who wanted to work with us because there was no one who wanted to. Honestly, they were like, pet industry, what are my future career aspects? Like, really, so literally it was like that.
Yeah, wow.
And then even when we had an office, we couldn't get people to apply because they thought that they would be sitting at the back of a pet store and like doing some calls or whatever else, right? So initially, like, to attract talent was very tough. Then it became a little bit easier when the brand sort of went out there a little bit more. And I think here is where I want to talk about getting the right people in. I made lots of hiring mistakes. I hired not necessarily for culture, but maybe for expertise. I hired maybe for the right fit, but not enough expertise. And I think what I've learned in the process is there is a different kind of person that works for different kind of companies. For us, it's people who are low ego, high EQ, people who are willing to take feedback, who are willing to constantly learn, grow, have an entrepreneurial mindset, have that openness, the growth mindset. So I've learned now that those are the two most important things for me, and everything else comes later.
Wow, okay. And when it came to raising funds, how did you go about, and how did you kind of even get the capital in the beginning, and at what point did you raise funds?
I started out with my tiny savings, which was literally really tiny, and I took a small loan from my parents, which I returned back very quickly afterwards. And I think we bootstrapped it for 8 years while we were setting up the foundation, while we were figuring a lot of it out, building products, setting up the supply chain. I think to take money from somebody is a very big responsibility, and you have to do it at a time when you can commit 100%. And I think that when our foundation seemed to be solid enough, when we knew what we wanted to do, how we wanted to grow, exactly what it's going to take, that's when we raised funds. And that time we did a angel round, friends and family, all of that kind of stuff. We only got VCs in 2 years ago, when we had further solidified our learnings and further cemented, the business plan. And I think that when we're raising funds or even thinking about raising funds, who we take money from and who we partner is absolutely critical, right? You have to have the same value system. You have to be able to understand what kind of capital do you need. Do you need patient capital? There's lots of different kinds of capital out there, and understanding, what do you need, when do you need it, why do you need it? That also a lot of people can't answer. That what do you need this money for? Is it okay? Yes, for growth, but what exactly, how are you exactly going to use it? And also when, like my daughter was so tiny, or even before she was born, I had so many, we had a lot of inbound interest, but I knew I was living away. I knew I couldn't give it my all. And I think you have to be at that point when you can really give it your all to say, yes, I'm ready to take care of somebody else's money. So yeah, I think funding for us has been quite an exciting journey.
Wow, and but that's I think because you have a conscience. Maybe it won't be those who don't.
Well, no, I hope so, because otherwise it really spoils the whole ecosystem.
That is
right?
true.
So yeah.
And what's the most spot-on way to market your business?
Staying close to your customers. Literally, for me, it's been that. Just building the relationship, building the connections. At our stores, we know the names of so many customers and their dogs. We're happy to have them back. We know what they want, their likes, their dislikes. And also just coming from a space of being pet parents ourselves, right? So a lot of our team is pet parents, and I think that the insights that it brings, the emotional connections that it can bring, that's important.
Okay. And what have you most enjoyed about this entire process so far?
It has grown me and challenged me more than I can say. But truly, when I see that we made a small difference to a life of our people, right? Grown them, helped their families grow and thrive, lives of our customers, their connections with their pets, the pets themselves, right? That to me is really, that's what inspires me. So no matter how tough it gets going, when I go home to my dogs, really, I'm like, okay, one more day. I can do this.
How sweet. What advice do you have for everybody starting out a business?
I would say that it's amazing that you are. It takes a lot of courage, but it's also not an overnight process. There's lots of these cool stories of how somebody's gone from like 0 to 100 in like no time. I think those are rare, and I see that people are constantly striving for that, or feeling like, we're not there yet, we're not good enough, we're not, etc., etc. Many of those things. I think that it takes persistence, it takes resilience, it takes a lot of grit. It is time consuming to build a brand, to make the change, but you just have to keep at it. So follow your dreams, one day at a time, no matter how difficult it gets, and build a lot of resilience, because I think it's all about fall down 7 times, get up 8. So you have to have the resilience to do it.
So it's so amazing. You are so wonderful, so soft-spoken, yet so strong and resilient yourself. How did you manage to build that resilience?
It has to come from inside, right? There are many times when I have fallen one more time and I'm like, that's it. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't get up one more time. Like, but there is so much inner strength in all of us, and I feel like we look outside for a lot of answers, a lot of I don't know, everything, fixes for everything, but it's actually there, and I think we just have to, it's there already, we just have to learn to tap it in a little bit more.
You have 80 stores of Heads Up for Tails in the country.
Yes.
And what are your plans internationally and nationally?
We want to really grow the national business. There's still a lot of scope. We want to go to new cities, new markets. We are working on a lot of new innovative products which are in the pipeline, so very excited about that. We're also focusing a lot on our online piece, our tech, entire infrastructure, the app which we launched a few months ago, our loyalty program, rewards. So there's a lot going on. But yes, we also really believe that this has a space globally, still exploring different markets, Southeast Asia, Middle East. No cemented plans as of now, but really want to take that chance and give it a shot.
Before we say goodbye, anything you want to say to the audience?
I do want to say that if you have a pet at home, our pets bring so much joy and so much love into our lives, and it is absolutely our responsibility to take the best care that we can of them, to understand them, to be really there for them through their anxieties, their stresses, their behavior issues, their health, and just making sure that they can live their best life. So please take the time out to understand your pets and love them wholeheartedly, because they have such short lives. Please open your hearts a little bit to our indie dogs on the street. We often tend to call them stray, which they're actually not, because strays are an animal or somebody lost or wandering, but this is their home too, and I really hope to build a world where there is more peaceful coexistence. When I see the cruelty, the comments on WhatsApp groups, on different societies, it actually hurts, because many of them are very friendly, and all they need is a little bit of understanding, and you can have a friend on every corner of the city, which I think is amazing.
That is true. Thank you so much, Rashi, for your time, and good luck for hustling away in the future.
Thank you so much.